Hello and welcome everyone to the very first session one of a brand new year, brand new campaign, and brand new faces. This is Dragon Age Ascension, also known as Dragon Age Season 3. If those of you who are new to this part of the YouTubes and are like, Dragon Age Ascension, is that a game? Like, I don't remember that coming out. So it's not a video game. This actually is a tabletop campaign version of Dragon Age, similar to Dungeons and Dragons, similar to Pathfinder, and all that good stuff. And the reason why I say it's Season 3 is because this actually is the third campaign of sort of this campaign universe that I've been hosting on my channel. I started Season 1, Dragon Age Intervention, 6 or 7 years ago, and then did Dragon Age Season 2, which was a sequel to Dragon Age Intervention, Dragon Age Season 2, also known as Dragon Age Resurgence, like 3 years ago. And so I had decided to make it a trilogy, and so this is now the third installment of this continuing storyline, this continuing world. And a lot of things have actually changed and happened that is very different from the video games and very different from the canon, which I think is very interesting. So all of the players here, as you can see, are players who actually auditioned for slots in this campaign just because there were a lot of people who really wanted to play. And to make it fair, we went through this whole audition process. If you're curious about any of that, if you're curious about taking a sneak peek of each of the players and their characters, I'm sure a link will be around here somewhere, or at least in the description below, so you can check it out. And we would love to have you guys join. Some of you might be wondering, do I have to have seen the first 2 seasons? You don't have to have seen the first 2 seasons, but it'll probably get you a lot more. You'll probably get a lot more out of it. It's sort of like, do I have to see all of the other Marvel movies to appreciate Endgame? Like, you're probably not going to get as much out of the Avengers Endgame if you hadn't seen many of the previous Marvel movies. So think of it that way. I think is the best way for me to describe it. But anyway, enough about me. I want to have a chance for us to meet all of our new, beautiful, and handsome faces that are in the crowd. So we will go around the room, and I would like for everybody to please tell us your name or how you want us to refer to you as. I want you to tell us where you're from and what character you are playing, including race and class.
Ooh, a little nervous. Anyway, hi everyone. My name's Tommy. I'm from the central VA area. I'm going to be playing everyone's hopefully favorite horny lawyer, Rousseau, because I'm a half-elf Qunary. And I go by masculine pronouns.
Also, sorry, pronouns is also the other thing I wanted people to specify. So not only do you have pointy horns, you also have pointy ears.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
He's very, very pointy.
Hopefully
Very
looking
pointy.
to be everyone's favorite law boy.
Yes.
Knife ears.
Skull.
Oh, me. Shit. Hello to everyone. My actual name is Ethan, but on the interwebs I am known as Skull, since apparently everyone decided to pin that on me. In terms of, I am a he by pronoun, and I come from Malta, or I hail from there, which is a small island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, which maybe half of you heard of it. In terms of what I am playing as, I'll be playing as Tyrion Seedorf, the escaped elven slave turned unlicensed doctor, I'd say. He doesn't have official credentials, unfortunately.
Hi, everybody. Yes.
But that is who I'll be playing as, and I'll make sure to bandage all of you up and not bleed out.
Hello, I'm Sam. I go by he, him pronouns. Gosh, I'm originally from Colorado, but I'm living in Texas right now, so, getting used to the heat outside. I'm playing Leon Faust, who is a very naive and young mage who is discovering secrets about his parents. Whoa.
Whoa! Secrets about your parents. Oh,
What is-
man.
Oh,
What
man.
is this sorcery?
Quite literal sorcery.
Hello, you can call me Callista. My pronouns are she, her. I'm from the UK, England, if you could not tell from my voice. And I will be playing Pasha, who is a human warrior, and she is also Qunari, but not by race, only by religion.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dominic Stangle. I go by Dominic. Dom is like the closest nickname I have, I think. I go by he, him. I am from Texas as well, and yeah, it's way too hot. And I will be playing Daretham, the Awakened Shriek Darkspawn Mage. If you couldn't tell, because I am the self-titled, or not self-titled, but titled Edge Boy.
Awesome. Cool. Well, one of the first things that we're going to do before we actually get started playing is I want to have a chance for the viewers out there to get to know the players a little bit more beyond just what we've seen already in the interviews. So we're going to have a few icebreaker / warm-up questions. And the first question I'm probably going to ask you is, if you yourself were in the Dragon Age universe, what race and class, you the player, not you the character obviously, but you the player, what race and class do you see yourself being and why?
So, given my background and given the kind of work I do, I feel like I'd be a worker class dwarf in Orzammar, simply because I'm moving heavy stones all the time and building patios and looking over plans. It's a nice fit for me. I feel like that's just where I'd naturally fall in the DA universe.
Based on my background, assuming that I wasn't lucky or unlucky enough to be born with magic, I would probably still be a human and probably be a writer, not in the similar works as Varric, but in the sense that I'm publishing novels in the sense of Varric.
What would be, give a random title of a novel?
Oh, I don't know.
Besides, because there's always, Varric, of course, is known for Hard and Hardtown, or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
I mean,
so, or Hard Town, Hard and
there's
High
no,
Town.
If there was an equivalent culture in Daedalus, I suppose I would probably think of Dejita, but beyond that, I don't know if there's a Korean culture in Daedalus. So
The popular novel that we came up with in Dragon Age Season 1, do you remember what the popular novel was?
Oh,
50 Shades of Grey Warden.
Oh, that's
50 Shades,
right.
50 Shades of Grey Warden.
Oh.
That title.
I forgot about that.
It gets so established early in the game, but then at the end it doesn't get heard again.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Who wants to go next?
I will.
Go ahead.
I think I'm quite a squishy person, so I'd probably be a human mage, living in a circle, living my best life while trying not to get hit.
All right. A law-abiding mage.
Yes.
A law-abiding mage. Okay.
it's probably so in terms of race, I see myself more as a human, mainly. It's obvious, kind of obvious there. In terms of class, it's kind of a difficult choice. In real life, I'm technically like studying for programming. So the closest that would be, of course, would be a mage, but I'm not the most studious person, so I'd probably go towards rogue. I have the kind of dexterityness and the agility of what a rogue would be, and a decent intelligence, let's say that. So.
Okay. Sam, why don't you go next?
Hey, so I'd probably be a human, because humans are the most common, but, I always like elves, but, elves in the Thetis are not the most happy characters.
People don't like elves a lot, but I'd probably also be a mage, as, I always like a good mage, and everyone always likes a good mage, but I'm also pretty studious, so, studying would be all right task.
What gave you the inspiration for creating your character? And the other part is, without giving too much away, without giving away too many spoilers, how do you hope to see your character evolve throughout the campaign?
the base concept of a Darkspawn mage was I think it was even during season 1 when I first thought of it. Like I can remember, I think it was I remember the episode where Delwyn fell from the bridge and then the demon was revealed. I think I had the idea in my head even back then. And then over time, it developed a little more in season 2. And just in the background, I was like, this would be a really cool character to play. And then when it actually came time to audition, I went, oh, I can do this. And then I went, oh no, I have no character. It's just the gimmick. So immediately it was me just like constructing the character of Daretham and the person rather than just the gimmick of I'm playing a Darkspawn mage, guys. And constructing that character was just me not being in the best mental state at the time and just pouring that into the character. And so and that kind of goes into the expected arc, if you will. I like redemption arcs. I really do. I know they're tropes, but I really love them. And I would love to see Daretham basically want to live. Because right now I'll just say, he has a death wish. He has a very big death wish. And if he could be taught through friendship or through finding a purpose in life or through a love interest or through really whatever to learn how to love life again and love his own life, that would be that's the only thing I really have planned as like the ideal. Beyond that, I don't know. I'm excited to find out.
So in terms of the basic concept I had, so the funny thing about it is I literally created them about around the time when the announcement was out. And I remember doing the video on the same day. And the idea of it was a combination of what I had played previously and what I wanted to play as. Around the time, I already played like Dragon Age a few times. I had like Warrior Mage done, so I hadn't played Rogue. And I was intrigued to play Rogue. But I wanted a bit of a unique twist towards him. Like, all right, I don't want them to play, the classical, oh, I'm the backstabbing rogue who will stab you to death until you die, or I can shoot you from afar from about 100 yards. I wanted to just throw like a unique twist on. That's where the kind of doctor idea came around, to make him a bit more of a, not necessarily as full support, but more having some support qualities with that. And then I kind of tied up with the escaped elven slave kind of background to have, oh, he's kind of ran away from where he's from, and now he's here trying to help others because he's suffered enough. Sort of kind of storyline. So it's more of a very Paragon-like kind of line he's going towards. Help others as much as you can. I would love to kind of see that simply change a bit, because I see him very much that he would help anyone, no matter what they are. So I would like to see maybe there's like a bit of a small change of like small doubts here and there. Just going like, yeah, you helped this person, now they're gonna stab you, or some other thing maybe might pop up. So he is too trustworthy, and I would like to see that somewhat change a bit, and also see that he can't save everyone. Not every person can be saved.
Yeah, so mages, love mages. So you gotta start at the baseline there, and then I wanted to explore sort of a more dark and emotional type tour, especially with something with a little bit of mystery and a little bit of intrigue. Have a goal for a character. So it's always good to have a character goal. So the parents coming up, and then blood magic, always a good fun task.
Yeah, so cheery.
So cheery, blood magic. It's fine. I would like to explore blood magic more, because blood magic is very taboo in a lot of Thedas, and just lots of fun there. And yeah.
I want to say a joke for the blood mage. We should just have an ad for blood magic, like blood magic. As if your children should use it.
Blood magic. Why not?
So I started trying to come up with characters after the Circle of Fate interviews. I immediately was like, I need to get in on this. And I had all of these ideas, and I can't exactly remember when But I just kind of woke up one day and Pasha was just like kicked open the door and was like, boom, I've arrived. It's me. We're here. We're doing this. And I was like, okay, I'm going with you then. Let's go.
That's like so Pasha. I love it.
Yes, it is so Pasha. Come in, we're doing this.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Just read it in weak voice.
Over the course of time, like kind of more things like oh well, I think she's a Tamaz. Like I knew she was Qunari from like I was like she's human, she's Qunari. That's that. But I was like, oh, she's a Tamaz, and oh, she's had this child that's been taken, and she kind of. I don't know if that's slowly or quickly evolved, but that's how she came about. As for what I'd like to see her experience things. Because so much of her life has just been the Qun and serving the Qun and doing what the Qun says and Qunity. I want to see her experience other cultures. And I think either one of two things can happen. Either she's going to be solidified in the Qun is correct, the world is a horrible place, I hate everyone, let me go back to Saharon. Or she's going to have a rapid downward spiral of these people are living okay, but the Qun says that couldn't happen, but they're living okay, but the Qun says. Mm-hmm. And she's going to have that conflict of, I've been taught this, but I'm seeing this. And I'm very interested to see which way she goes.
Interesting.
So I've been an on and off watcher of Harks for a while, and I'm not really like versed in DA lore. So pretty much I didn't get the notification for auditions being open until about like 2-3 weeks in. I was like, oh F, I gotta come up with something. So pretty much I started binging season 1. I started like doing a whole bunch of research, and one thing that's always worked for me if I'm fresh to a setting is I either do something that's very easy and like fits with the setting, or I go the opposite direction and I try to find something that you would never get the depth on otherwise. So that's what inspired me to start coming up with like white collar professions for characters. And then I was thinking, then boom, Russo was like, oh, hello, I'm the lawyer.
So you're saying Russo kicked down your door and went,
no,
oh, hello, I'm your lawyer.
No, he very eloquently opened the door and was like, hey, you want to come?
Okay. All right.
So then I had his profession down. I was like, well, he can't just be a lawyer. I need to come up with everything else because I don't want my character to be a gimmick. And so certain things out of my own life, like my uncle was a single father that had to raise his 3 kids. So that's what inspired Balin to be Russo's son, and Russo to really struggle with a lot of the broken family elements he's dealing with. One thing that also inspired me was literature for Russo, like the Heart of Darkness and some of like the fables, like the Canterbury Tales and stuff like that. That's what made him more like wanting to be larger than life. And the biggest character growth that I want to see him do is basically come to better realities with everything around him, because he left his past to become a lawyer to be more upstanding, but just because you're in a different profession doesn't mean everything's like pretty and clean and everything's going to work out that way. And that you can't really turn away from your past. A certain part of you has to accept it and learn to deal with it.
Thank you guys so much for all those answers. I hope all of the players were listening carefully to everybody's responses to the second part, because hopefully they'll keep that in mind as they're interacting with these characters and see if they could maybe help nudge some of these evolutionary tracts the players are looking for. The next question I ask is hopefully, I always found to be probably the most valuable question I ask every time we do a session 0, session 1 is, as a player, share to the rest of the group what you personally are hoping to get out of this experience and what you're hoping to get out of each other.
I'm going to kick this off the bank because mine is... I want to get that quickly. So I have been playing tabletop games for about 4 years now, and the one thing it's always intrigued me is when I play with any person that I've never met before, including online. And I've mostly played online, so for me this is another... This group has intrigued me ever since we've been like founded, and I want to see us kind of grow more than just, here we are together now, let's see what's going to happen. I want to kind of see how this party of 5 oddly different characters from different sides of the continent of Thedas change and it evolve to something that is much greater than really anything else. So it's, for me, it's always been I've always had this hard time of finding people to play with games. A lot of games I've kind of had that kind of harsh life, and with tabletop games they've helped me out a lot. So to me, this is what I've always wanted for tabletop games, and I hope that in this game we will get that same kind of the evolving of the group to something much bigger. So
the main thing I want is I want to create a good story. I want a story that has its highs, that has its lows, that has those emotional moments that make you so frustrated and make you want to cry and like, oh, this is so like joyful. I want all of that. And what I'm hoping for the group is that we will be able to do that together. And also what this is perhaps a tad selfish of me, I'm hoping that you will all hold me culpable to a higher standard than what I usually hold myself to. I'm very used with my regular D&D game. I'm very used to being murder hobo-ish is probably the wrong word. It doesn't give a very good first impression, I get that. But I tend to go for the easy route. And recently I've been trying to hold myself up to a higher standard of, no, we put the roleplay first and we try. And I'm hoping that y'all will also be like, Callista, no. Pasha wouldn't do that. Think it through. Think for a moment.
I imagine like you go for the more direct route. Like, what's the most direct route? This one. Let's go.
Sometimes the most direct route isn't the most interesting story-wise. So take that into consideration. It might be more interesting. This might not be the most ideal route, but it would tell a really good story if we did it this way. Just throwing it out there. Cool. Thank you for your honesty and openness with that, Callista. Thank you.
So much like the previous two answers, it's kind of a mix of both. I was going to be an actor when I was younger, and now I'm definitely going to be a writer. And I'm just in general love telling stories. I adore them, and I think that stories are the one thing. It's the one thing that everybody does. Like even right now, I am telling a story. This is a story I'm telling. So it's something that connects us. It's something that inspires us. And it's especially through D&D and other similar tabletop RPGs because it's improv but structured in a way that allows for kind of that limitation on creativity that allows for even more creativity. Beyond that, and the fact I just love stories, a selfish reason is I like friends and I don't have a lot of them. And then the also other selfish reason is I kind of always wanted to be in a Hark game, and I'm really happy that I am. So, because I will say Dragon Age Season 1 was probably the first real instance of a really good story-focused D&D game that kind of got me really hooked into that section of the RPG community. And yeah, it's cool to be here now and be with you all, and I can't wait to be an edgelord.
So pretty much one of the things I wanted to get out of this game is simply long experience as a player, because my whole time with tabletop RPGs I've been the forever DM of my group. So I've never really gotten like heavy long interactions with one character that gets fully fleshed out. It's always like I play this person here, you talk to this guy, or I do this mini arc with you with this character. So that was one thing I was really looking forward to. My selfish reason is everyone seemed like really cool people and I want to be your friends. Then beyond that, I'm just really into the literary aspect and seeing characters flesh from like one theme to another, simply because like what you intended for your character to what you actually play has almost never been the same thing for me.
Okay, so at least for myself, I've been good at the mechanics and the thinking and the dice rolling of a game, but I've not been the best at the emotional response, at the feeling of a character. So I'd like to work on that, especially because I don't really get a lot of chances to do that as heart campaigns is all about those emotional responses and about the feelings of the characters. So I would like to work on that, and hanging out with all these fine folk just on our off time has been a lot of fun, and I hope to see more of them as a role player as well as a person.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to try to answer that same question as well for all of you. Like, what do I want to get out of this campaign? In no particular order, one of the first things that always pops into my head is I want to be able to learn from you guys how to continue being a better GM. I appreciate that you guys are excited to be here. I appreciate you guys saying you have been wanting to be in my campaigns for X number of however long. I will be the first to say I am not a perfect GM. I make mistakes. I've done several things. There are many things that I've been doing since I started DMing that I thought, I could have done a better job of that, or maybe I should have done this instead of this. And every player is different. Every group is different. Every single year, there was always something new that I learned from the group. We just finished Harry Potter. I learned a lot from GMing that group, and I am excited to find out what things you guys will teach me so that I can become a better GM, and also not just that, but become a better player too when I'm on the other side of the screen. So that's one thing I'm hoping to be able to get out. The second thing is sort of stealing from Tommy is, I think somebody asked, I think it was Ethan who asked me, like, so why were the 5 of us chosen? And one of the first things, like, I'd like to think without even skipping a beat, one of the first things I thought was, because I kind of want to be friends with you. Not that I didn't want to be friends with the other people who auditioned, but that definitely did not hurt the fact that I genuinely felt that each one of you is very, like, cool and intriguing people. I was like, I kind of want to spend, a year with these people, seeing them every other week for, like, 5-6 hours at a time, and you kind of have to like the people that you are playing with, otherwise it would be really miserable and disastrous. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to forge a few friendships here and there throughout this campaign, and I just want to watch you guys as a group, like, grow as players and just grow as friends, because I think that was probably my favorite part about for example, Dragon Age Season 2, the Wizarding World campaign that we just did, is just, from day one, they were really close. And I thought, these guys are already like buddies. And then I couldn't imagine them getting any closer. And they did. They got way closer by the end of the year. And so that's what I'm hoping to see here happen again, too, because it always just warms my heart that even after this campaign ends, you can still take that with you afterwards. So that is my hope. We'll see. All right. There's one more thing I will do before we actually start the campaign itself, start the story. Who do I start with?
Maker save us all.
Good. Dominic, thank you for volunteering. I'll start with Dominic.
Yay!
Dominic, why did I put you into this campaign specifically? So, I answer that question. You don't have to answer that question.
You see, if going into the mind of Hart right now.
Yes, I know. Dominic, let's start with some facts. So, Dominic, your interview got the most likes. So, you were a fan favorite. I don't know if you knew that.
I hadn't checked.
Good. I'm happy that you didn't check. But you had the most interviews, so a lot of the audience really liked you. I think many people at this table believe that you are a very strong role player. You said that you did a bit of acting, probably theater. It shows. You're very good about being into character, and that's always very helpful. I really appreciated your candidness and your openness and honesty during your interview. And you seem to be a person who was very gracious also about receiving feedback. And that's also very important. So yeah, there were just a lot of reasons why I I felt that, you belong in this group. I was very excited to have you. Don't let anything I just said to you get to your head. But just sad. But
What were you talking about? Sorry.
Yeah, I know. What? Obliviate spell. Anyway, got to get out of that. Got to get out of that
Where's my
universe
wand?
and into this one. I know. Got to get into this universe. But Dominic, thank you for auditioning. It was great to meet you again after you being a viewer of mine for so long. So it was really cool to say, oh, that's who that is. That's cool. So
Thank you very much, Ark.
you're welcome. Callista, you were the person who got the second most likes. And you were also a fan favorite. I really, really loved Isadora. And I really, really loved you as a player last year. And I was like so frustrated because I was like, I can't. I'm trying to fit all the people that I want into the Wizarding World campaign, but realistically I couldn't. So I was so excited when I saw your audition drop this year. And not only that, you were the very first person who dropped your audition. And to me, I love that passion that you have. I love the drive. I forgot to mention this about Dominic, but I appreciate Dominic's passion. I mean, he's cosplaying as his character right now, for goodness sake. So that's pretty awesome. But you were very eloquent during both your interviews and your auditions from both years. I keep saying you need to consider, seriously, consider having a side job doing audiobooks. I have a friend, that is what she does. She gets paid for it. She's a stay-at-home mom who raises 3 children. She does this on the side for extra cash and is great. So if you want any of that information, she has a lot of tips. Because I really think if you were looking for something else to do and get money for it, reading books, just saying.
That
So
would be nice.
anyway, all right, I'll send you something afterwards. But anyway, so thank you again for auditioning. I was so excited, and I was being 100% honest during the interview. I said, you checked all the boxes, and as long as you did this one thing, all I need you to do was to make your interview memorable, and you crushed it. And I said, as long as you did that, you're guaranteed a spot in this campaign. And I was 100% not BSing you. That's all you needed to do, and you were in this campaign, and you did it. You earned it. So, thank you.
Among the entire community of people, I think a lot of people said that both Dominic and Callista crushed in both the auditions and the interviews. A lot of people did say that, so
Yeah.
just to mention.
It's not just me, so thank you. Well, Skull, since you piped up, I'll go with you next.
Crap!
So-
Need my freaking sunshades. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. The Undershades, you mean.
The end. Ooh. Anyway,
First of all, Skull, I was surprised and shocked because I had no idea how young you actually are. Because you seemed so mature and also seemed very articulate and very eloquent. And I really was very impressed by how eager you are to help other people to learn the system. You have tutorials on your channel even before a year at least before this campaign even started its auditions. Just in general, you seem just like a very helpful person, very polite, and very knowledgeable about how the system works. So I'm probably going to be leaning on you a lot with rule stuff, and I'm sure you will be very helpful there. And I just think that that's going to be a very valuable asset to the team. You probably are going to be the AJ, because AJ was sort of our rules guy in the Wizarding World. So that's sort of like how I'm seeing you as for this group.
I did help in a lot of the kind of knowledgeable stuff before the game. For people who don't know, I did work a lot with Dominic for his stuff.
We totally didn't just design 6 spells because
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally
Yes.
stole them from like some other stuff. So yeah, I will definitely be the guy who's going to like get asked multiple questions on
Wonderful.
so I'm super fine with that. So
Awesome.
that's
Thank
my
you.
job. That is my job.
Thank you. Moving on to the Laurier. So, Tommy, while I see Skull as sort of the AJ of the group, I kind of see you as the Brandon of the group. And by that I mean you seem to be like the guy who keeps you're sort of like the glue that holds everybody together. I really love that you took the initiative, for example, in the Discord chat to start up hangouts with people just to like get to know everyone in the community, and not just the people that you auditioned with and not just the people who got into the campaigns. So because for me it's telling that even after the results were released and even after we announced who was going to be in this cast, you still continued doing that. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm just doing this during the auditions, and now that I'm in, I'm not going to do it anymore. No, you kept doing it, and not only that, you're still like doing it with people who aren't in this campaign. And I think that just tells a lot about you as a person, about your personality. When I first saw your audition several years ago for Mass Effect, I was genuinely disappointed that it was only a mock and you weren't actually auditioning, because I really liked you just from the interview for your character concepts and you as a person, it seemed. So again, just like Callista, I was very excited to see you audition for this one and have it be a genuine audition. I really appreciated that you recorded your reaction to it. And happy you got in, because I think the reaction would have been a little bit different, slightly. If you didn't get in, I'm sure you would have still been positive throughout the whole thing. Go ahead.
Full disclosure, I was playing to be really articulate and be like, oh, I could see this person getting in for X, 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 and X, and then when I was the first one announced, I just lost it entirely and couldn't recover.
But no, Tommy, like, I think that it's very, very clear that you're just an all-around nice guy, and those are the people that I just gravitate towards putting into campaign, because if you can get along with everyone, that's like gold. Like, I don't care how horrible of a role player you are, that you can improve on and teach. It's so much harder to teach people to be a good person. So much harder than teaching how to be a better role player. That's easier by comparison. So, and last but not least, Sam. Sam, had I just known that you were a ginger, I would have so easily put you into the Wizarding World campaign so fast if I had just known.
Man. I should have illuminated my hair better then.
I was going to say, your webcam or the lighting should have, I was like, oh man. You could have taken Brandon's place.
Everybody, Hart doesn't have biases at all. He is totally fair to everyone.
Oh no, I'm very open and honest about my ginger biases. I'm very upfront about that. But in addition to that, Sam, I loved everything about you last year. I loved your energy. I loved Oliver. Like, you just gave such a unique spin on this character that was different from any other person that you auditioned with, which is why I was, again, like Callista, I was so frustrated that I wasn't able to put you in, which again is why when I saw you audition again, I was like, thank God Sam is auditioning. I hope he does well, and I hope he does a good job. And again, you hit every single check mark. It's that one thing. That was the one thing that kept you. And I see you trying to improve on that. I see you, again, taking feedback very graciously. And I hope that you don't overcorrect yourself. I hope that you don't lose, because one thing I really liked about Leon is I see a lot of Oliver and Leon, or at least a lot of that energy. So please don't let the one thing that's holding you back mean that you need to hold yourself back from that, because that is the part that I want you to keep and just try to improve on the other part, which I know you're going to do great. I think that there'll be a lot of opportunities for your character in this campaign, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully we don't die.
Hopefully, yes, well, we'll see about that.
Oh.
Okay, let me pull out my notes. Oh boy.
The notes are being pulled out.
Oh no.
First note, kill
All right.
everyone.
We are going to start this campaign just like all of the other campaigns that I've started with. Do anybody knows what this is? What we're starting with?
A tavern.
No.
Introduction.
We are starting with
An introduction.
origin stories.
Ah, yes.
We start with origin stories. So, everyone roll initiative. Dominic. This is ancient to Vinter. Way back. The first blight hasn't started yet. The Magister's side reels have not done their ritual yet to enter into the Golden City. This is before that. You are not a Darkspawn. You are... There you go. Can you describe yourself?
Daretham as an elf is... I don't know what his dress is like at this point, but he has long black hair that goes about like to a little past his shoulders. He has much darker skin, kind of in the similar vein as that environment. He has very pale, almost, well, not pale, more dark blue-green eyes, kind of like a dark sea green or something of the nature. He has a small scar over his left eye, probably from some scuffle in his past, and his long elven ears, and a general kind of... he's handsome, at least for an elf under his circumstances. And completely barefaced, no Vaseline or anything of the sort. He wouldn't even know where to start getting them, even if he could.
We are going to start. It is in the middle of the night, and you are in bed. And I would say that your furnishings in your bedroom is not cushy by any means, but it's... I think that you're one of the more prized servants, I say that loosely, of your master, and so it might be, by comparison, a little cushier than others. And I would probably say you've maybe had it's probably around 1 a.m., 2 in the morning, when there is a pound on your door.
He quickly steps up, straightening up. I imagine what is like, it's not pajamas per se, but it's more casual wear. Probably a bit of more ratty than what his formal like servant's dress would be from his master's retinue. But he will stand up, brush himself off, try to like make himself as presentable as he can in an instant, and will open the door with his head bowed, just in case it is a superior. Yes.
The door opens, and it is your master before you, who you're not used to seeing at this late at night. And your master sort of sees you, and he has a very serious, stoic look on his face. And he says, "I have a job for you, Daretham."
Of course, master. How could I help?
I require for you to gather for me as many of the able-bodied servants, he doesn't call them slaves, he calls them servants, as you can for a very important ritual.
I see. Shall I take them from our state or from the markets?
We will start with the markets first, but I am going to require an exorbitant amount of them, starting with tonight. If you are able to acquire for me at least 30 to 50 able-bodied servants.
Of course. Shall I ensure that any such able-bodied servants that are bought are graciously used by your illustrious funds to acquire them?
For this particular ritual, we do not need to scrimp on any expense. I need quality, but more quantity than anything else.
Of course. I shall not sleep for weeks to complete your task.
He'll give you a little bit of an approving I wouldn't even say smile. Like he doesn't really like
a sneer, but it's kind of kind.
Yeah, it's like my attempt at saying thank you, although I'm not really saying thank you, kind of thing. And with that, he will step away to leaving behind, I guess. I don't know if handler is the correct word, but I'm assuming there must be some sort of guard or some person who's supposed to be like watching over you as you are accomplishing this task, because you can't just be milling about on your own, I think, normally at least.
Of course. Servants aren't smart enough to do so.
Yes. I mean, he trusts you, but at the same time, he can't trust you 100%, so there has to be a handler of some sort.
Yeah, and his head was bowed through that whole exchange, never meeting his master's eyes, always looking directly at his feet as commanded. But his master would not have missed the definite bit of, oh, that's a lot, when he said the number of servants.
Yeah, that is a lot of servants for some sort of whatever it is he's doing. So you get yourself dressed. The handler doesn't really say anything. And you will make your way out in the dead of night. I would probably say the air is very cold and crisp. And for those of you who are watching, this is the very earliest moments of the Tevinter Empire, where everything is new and freshly built. Humans had arrived in this land relatively recently and sort of tried to build this grand city, and the beauty of the architecture that is so unique to this region. This is when they were really at their prime, I would say. And it's pretty lavish even back then. And right now, though, like I said, it's probably around 2 o'clock-ish in the morning. The moon up above, however, is shining quite a good, significant amount of light. And you're going to make your way over to the markets.
And he'll probably have like, I'm not sure if it's a slip or some sort of parchment, like a writ that he probably takes when he's going to buy things in his master's name. And it's like, rolled up nicely, that would be the official documentation that allows a servant to speak for their master.
You head over to the markets, and I'm assuming that they're at the markets. The person who is, I guess, the servant vendor, I guess you could call him. He sort of like has this little like residence, that's set up. It's in the middle of the night, but so all the lights are out. But you do know that your master is very like powerful, and even though it's at this time of night, even if you were to disturb the person's sleep, like as long as you had, I'm sure he'll give you some sort of documentation that you can show and say, yes, I need these slaves and I need them now, or they would oblige. So
and he will definitely, knowing that it would be foolish to say ask the far stronger and far more able-bodied guard to pound on the door, he will try his best using his strength to knock as politely as you can at 2 a.m.
Okay. You'll knock. Nobody answers. Maybe you'll knock a little bit harder. Finally, you'll see a light from inside, from within. You can hear footsteps going through the door. The door opens, and it's this gentleman with a graying beard, probably in his early 40s. He's holding up a lamp of some sort, and he looks at you with his eyes squinting, and he says, "Do you have any idea what time it is?"
"I do, my great merchant, and I apologize profusely for disturbing you at such an hour. My master, requires a great many of the merchandise you procure and needs them imminently and the best of the qualities.
It's so important. This is something that couldn't wait until tomorrow morning.
I do not question my master's wishes. I only make them reality.
Do you have some documentation to show me?
Of course. And he will mechanically, he's done it probably hundreds of times, bring out the parchment, wring it out, ensure that his lesser hands aren't touching anywhere near the superior free man, and will make sure it's right in the light in the perfect area to make sure it doesn't glare and it reads.
He'll hold up his lamp and he'll look at the document up and down. He seethes a little bit, but begrudgingly he says, "They're all asleep. Wake them up, gather them around, take a look at what you need, and I'll make sure that we get all the papers signed."
Of course. I thank you for your generosity and your kindness.
He will nod. The guard handler will nod as well, and you will follow him over to the pen, I guess is the way to call it, is where
Pretty
they keep.
appropriate. Yeah.
It's pretty appropriate. So these are all the elves that they had captured. As you know, there's a big conflict. You of all people would know. There's a big conflict happening between the humans of Tevinter and the elves of that land, of that area, back when they were not how we know the elves as of today. And they're all in sleeping in various like sleep sacks or bales of hay. Again, it's relatively cold, so a lot of the elves are sort of huddled around a fire of some sort, or they're huddling close together for warmth. And I'm gonna say that the gentleman opens like the gate or the fencing, allowing you to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Everybody's asleep.
Well, being an elf myself, I can recognize sort of the good qualities that a healthy, able-bodied elf would have. So first I will kind of just give an overview glance before waking them up to see like how's the general, as morbid as it is, an elf thinking this of his own people, how is the stock?
Yeah. So I would say a good majority of them seem to fit the bill. You know, there's a few that are a little bit in their older years, but even then, again, keep in mind, this is back when elves were kind of sort of immortal, sort of. So even at an older age...
Yeah, I think a little bit after, probably.
A little bit after. Maybe you might find some of the elves that are coughing in their sleep, so they're a little sickly, so maybe not so much. But I think you can easily get the 30 to 50 that your master requires.
Dirtham internally grimaces because he was hoping to get on the lower end, but seeing the fact that, I mean, are there like 100, 200 in total?
I would say in this whole area there's probably about 100.
Okay, so his master, when he says the best, he requires the best, and Dirtham knows what he has hanging over his head, so while he doesn't like it, he's gonna try to get all 50. And he will...
How do you wake them up? How do you describe what you do when you go over and just start waking people up?
What would he do?
Yell.
Wake everybody up! He would... Oh man, I don't know. He just... I don't think he would wake them up one by one. I'd imagine he wouldn't try to force them awake, but he'd try to maybe like grab 2 bits of metal or something and start clanging them a bit, trying to not wake up the house, but get the nearby elves awake and just slowly go down the line so that they can all awaken and like go in their formation.
Okay. You'll start waking them up, and I think one of the first things, again, this is like 3 in the morning.
Yep.
One of the first things that they do when they see who's waking them up is they sort of give you a very surprised, almost dirty look, because in sort of I guess one of them might actually say to you explicitly, "Why?" Just the word "why" in Elven.
And assuming the handler isn't right there and maybe it's just kind of standing at
He's
the
not.
door. Yeah. I would never meet any of these elves' eyes, because if I did, they would be burned in my head, and I've made that mistake before. But that elf would hear the whisper, "We don't all have choices." And I just keep going.
You'll just keep going, and they'll start rounding people up. One of the people that seems to be particularly able-bodied is a strong-looking strong-looking elf who is currently sound asleep with 2 other children elves, probably not even older than 6 or 7. These 2 children. What do you do with that family?
Is this like where the last bit of like elves is, like near the end of it?
Yeah, I think this is going to be near the end, and
So-
I'm going to be specific and say that the handler is watching you specifically as you're
Okay.
debating over this group of people.
Internally, I wish that I could go up, gently shake the children awake, ask them to get their father, mother, their parent up, or their guardian. But with the handler right there, I have to make his report pleasing to my master. So I will just keep not changing my actions, but I'll try to maybe slightly make the sound less jarring, but still try to keep the report happy.
You try to coax them awake. The father stirs, and he looks towards your direction, and the 2 children, they start rubbing their eyes, and they seem, first of all, when they wake up, they look a little frightened, not of you or the situation, but almost as if they don't know where they are. It's almost like they don't recognize this place. Like, how did we end up here?
Do I recognize kind of the signs of fresh?
Yeah, like they only just arrived, maybe
Okay.
that evening.
How healthy does the father look? Is he like one of the best ones I've seen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very healthy. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, as I said, the handler seems to know that too, because he's watching you.
Get him up, and if the kids are being a little slower, I say, "Come on, make sure it's quick."
The kids asks their father in Elven, "What's happening? Where are we going now?"
Shh. No speaking unless you are spoken to. You'll learn that soon.
I'm gonna say that the older one is a girl, the younger one is a boy. And father will, again, he's clenching his fists, but he's not resisting, but you can sense that he's not happy about this situation.
Yeah, I will. It's a bad idea, but I will let my eyes meet his and just kind of give him a look of, like, trying to implore just with my physicality and my eyes that I'm not touching the little ones. And just say, like, they're safe. Just get them in line.
Okay. The little boy asks you, "Where are we going?"
Shh. Remember, no speaking unless you are asked to.
But he says, "But I don't understand," is what he was about to say. But then the father sort of quiets him down and he says, Tyrion, shh. Quiet, please." And you will collect. The last person that you lay your eyes on is this, again, another able-bodied elf who is a woman with beautiful, beautiful hair. And just something about this elf just really sticks out to you.
Seeing the probably long, still somehow, as you said, beautiful red hair on this elven woman's head, is his handler watching this point in the fingers? This is like further back down.
Further back down. I don't think your handler sees paying as much attention.
If it's probably like in that back corner, he will kind of look, ensure that there's no chance of anyone seeing, and then he will not use the thing and will shake her as gently as he can awake.
You shake her, and she, again, kind of like rubs her forehead a little bit, and her eyes adjust to the light. And she looks at you and she says, "What do you want?"
It's not what I want. Come on.
She looks over at the rest of the group, and then she looks at you and she says in Elven, "Children? You're taking the children?"
I need to line up everyone. They're not being touched.
She will pick herself up and, brush herself off. She's very strong, personality, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
She's aware of her situation, and she is smart enough to know that she's not going to do anything stupid, but at the same time, she's also not just going to, immediately, take a knee right away and bow to anyone anytime soon. But...
yeah. You're not making this easy, Ark.
So she will follow suit, but she's sort of dragging her feet a little bit, and I think that again the handler isn't paying as much attention. So she sort of whispers to you in Elven, and she kind of just asks you, "So, do they even pay you for this?"
Technically.
How long have you been doing this?
Years.
And she kind of mutters to herself, "Huh. Well, I hope I die before that happens to me."
You sound like my little sister.
You have a sister?
She's my payment. Her life, that is.
She softens a little bit when you say that to her. Almost as if she had preconceived notions about you as a person, and then when you mention that, it takes her a little bit of aback.
Yeah.
And she actually doesn't say anything else as you file everybody in line.
And he will about to step back in, so is in the main hallway, so his handler can see, and he'll stop and just kind of think for a moment. Would he know the handler to be one of, maybe not one of the more lenient, as in lazy, not wanting to deal with this issue ones?
If you need him to be, I will say yes if you need him to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's, me thinking logically, that's the only way this can work. So,
great.
He will say, "This handler's a bit more of a unconfrontational one. If you play off a limp, you might be able to be discarded after you're acquired."
She's just kind of nod at your suggestion, and then she whispers back, "What's your name?"
Dirtham.
Varania.
If you manage to get away, head down into the slums. Ask for Ceres Gillane. The others will lead you there.
And as you finish gathering up everybody...
And I'll just step off, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna step off, and we're gonna end that scene there. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. Who's next on the initiative?